Well, hello fellow VetSimmers and fellow YouTubers and everyone joining. Thank you again immensely for joining on this another session on our tutorial flight from Melbourne to Canberra. As you can see, this is the other part of the tutorial, focusing on the taxi. We've just been pushed back by the ground crew. We're actually on the ground at this stage on the taxiway. Just a very quick short description of where we are. Golf at this stage, we're expecting to taxi runway 16 via Alpha, cross 27, and ideally we would like to take Bravo, but our calculations for the departure today has been based on the Bravo intersection. We can, however, request Charlie, but that would mean a few hundred meters or so of our departure for Melbourne. So for all of you out there that want to take a shortcut, bear in mind flaps are different, V-speeds are different if you do wish to take an intersection departure. But for the purposes of this this flight today, we'll be taking off for runway 16, which is exactly what dispatch has given us. So just recapping from the previous tutorial, we disconnected the ground at this stage. The crew has left. We've performed before start-off checklist, so now we're going to be performing the before taxi checklist. Just double checking at this stage before taxi checklist. Make sure the generators are on, which they are, and we've set that up. Well, I've particularly set up to generate 2 at this stage. Probe heat is on. We can see there's no lights. Anti-ice. Well, at this stage, the temperature is 26 degrees in Melbourne. And the time of this video, I've had to cut it to another day when I was to do this video. So today is 26, so we don't need any anti-ice. Isolation valve definitely is in the auto position, we can confirm. Engine starter switch is on in the continuous position. Recall we can push, we've checked. Flaps, well, we've set flaps 5 and 3 green lights. Engine start levers are in the idle detent position. Flight controls, well, we can double check that again. The way we do it is by going full left. You can see on the left wing, full left. Okay, full right. You can see full right. Release, back to neutral. And we pull up, neutral, pull down, neutral. Rudder, which is this great, amazing piece of machinery right here. If we turn that to the left position, we can see moving to left. Turn it to the right position, and see moving to the right. Let's have a look at what the display says. Rudder left, neutral. Rudder right, neutral. So we can confirm that the flight controls have been checked. Ideally, it's best practice to disable this so it is blank after all the checks, because if we have any failures during departure or whilst in flight, it will appear here. So it is very, 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 very important to black that out. It's just real world best practice. But then again, on this flight I have all failures turned off. But again, it is a journey we're taking, so I want to share that with you. Okay, so we confirm the flight controls are checked and the ground equipment is clear. We can also confirm there's no ground equipment, and we received no hand signal on the right hand side. Okay, so the next step is to taxi. Just having a quick look at our taxi chart here. We have no, obviously we're flying on offline, but if we was to fly on VATSIM or any other virtual airline, we would be given instructions to taxi. But at this stage, given where we are and the winds, ATC will probably clear us to taxi via Alpha to the holding point Bravo 16 to cross runway 27. So, oh, there's a Jetstar aircraft, A320. So in this case, I would say is obviously our call sign, which is, we'll double check again. Just write that down because it's very, very important. Velocity 227. Okay, we'll just have that on the takeoff page for the first, actually for the captain, and on the first officer side, and have the legs page. So if you save, let's pretend ground is online or tower, whoever's looking after us. The velocity 227, ready for taxi, and then tower would say, or approach, or whoever looking after us would say, velocity 227, taxi, holding point Bravo, runway 16 via Alpha. You're clear to cross runway 27. Report when ready. Okay, then as pilots would say, okay, copy that, thank you, hold short Bravo, runway 16, taxi via Alpha, clear to cross 27, we'll report ready, velocity 227. That's pretty much it really, there's nothing to it. So the next step is the before taxi checklist, which we've already covered and I've done again. So what we need to do, turn off our runway left, runway right, turn off lights, and our taxi on lights. You can see they'll be coming on. There they are. Just doing a quick visual, make sure everything's okay. I've also, since doing this video, I've had a bit of a weather update, so but we're still for runway 16 at this stage. Okay, so we're pretty much ready for taxi. Let's go ahead and release the parking brakes and let's taxi. Do a quick radar check on some of the areas. So we can see we got an aircraft arriving here. So we're going to be taxiing this way, cross runway 27. So let's see how this aircraft goes. Okay, very, very small throttle. You can see we're moving. Oh, there's a Dreamliner, I believe, taking off on the New Zealand. Wow. We don't want to be doing more than 20 knots. And how do we do that? How do we know that? Well, look at the navigation display here. Ground speed, we're doing 7 knots. We don't want to be doing more than 20 knots. Reason being, if you have failures turned on, you will get a very, very cold letter from maintenance. So let's hold here, see what this Qantas guy wants to do. You get a very cold letter from maintenance saying that, pretty much on the lines that, yeah, you busted the landing gear, and you'll have to have a good discussion with your manager. And I can assure you that that manager will be having a good discussion with you on a cold cup of coffee, not a warm one. I can see this Qantas dude, he's taxiing on the wrong side of the aerodrome, but anyway, that's right, he's taxiing to the international side. He must be coming from New Zealand. That's okay. We'll continue taxi. We do see another aircraft inside. That's the problem flying on VATSIM and Unicom when there's no A2C. Another topic for discussion will be how to communicate on Unicom, but another topic. So at this stage I do see another aircraft in front of me. I'm hoping you can turn left. If not, we'll just make our way around him. Another aircraft landing on runway 16. You can see a huge number of aircraft arriving at Melbourne. We've got Qatar here, a few number of international Qantas 737s. I'm assuming they come from New Zealand. Just double checking on this particular gentleman. What's he doing? He's he's heavy. Okay, so let's hold here. Let's see what he's doing. I'm hoping he'll be turning left, so we can continue. As you can see, we have a huge number of arrivals. This particular aircraft has decided to go around. There you go. Look at this. That's certainly interesting. There's no ATC online, so makes it even more interesting. I'm not sure what this aircraft is doing. What are we going to do? We're going to... can we do it? Can we not? We're in a peculiar position at this stage. Let's see where we are. Nah, we're head on. What we might do is sneak around him. We'll go around Alpha, Sierra, Echo, Alpha. We'll go around him because we don't want to impede him. That's alright. That's all good. You do what you need to do, my friend. So we'll pretend ATC has cleared us around him. So we'll sneak around. Again, this is not... I was hoping to have ATC online, but that's okay, we don't. So we just need to navigate ourselves the way around safely as possible. So I'll go around him and he can go around us. That's okay, so in this case we'll probably go via Sierra Echo Alpha crossing 27. There's a lot of aircraft on the ground. Just turn left here. Again, we don't want to go more than 20 knots because in real life we would be damaging the wheels, and also if we was to go real life at this, the temperature on the brakes would be very, very high, which we don't want to do. Just double check our aircraft. Yep, continue turn. Now, I've received a few comments, and a lot of people have actually asked me, how do you have the center line on the flight deck? So you can see this aircraft is taxiing. Good on him. So the way what I learnt, what I've looked at is you want to have that center line. If you're staying as captain's seat, oh, I hope you stay there, my friend. Hope you stay there, Qantas, so I can taxi. You want to have that center line on your right knee. That's what I was told. Please stay there. Please stay there. Please stay there. Crap, you're not going to stay there. Alright, well, just have to make a round. Alright, so that's... we'll discuss that later. This is not good. This is not good. Alright. Where is ATC when you want them? Okay, my friend. Well, that's not going to happen. Head-on collision. What we're going to... oh. I'm going to grass. You go around me. How's that? Alright? Because I don't want to have an accident. Go for it. You do what you want. I'll go around you. And our wheels will be pretty much in overdrive. Ideally, this is not what you want to do. And I wish I didn't make this video. It would be embarrassing. And Mr. Nick Falcone would be laughing and screaming at me. Okay, he's gone. Let's go back. Make room for him. That's why we need ATC. Alright, this is the chaos. Let's go back. Okay, see an aircraft. Do we have room? So what we do, we just hold our short here. Check our left, check our right. See an aircraft, he's looking on finals. God knows, he's on runway 9. Good for him. do have a bit of separation, so I guess we can, or should we not? Nah, we'll let him land. Let's put our brakes on, parking brakes on. We'll let him land. And let's hope he vacates on Alpha. That's where we are. A little bit in front, where we should hold the arriving aircraft, which is why we need ATC. East Melbourne is busy today. Good on you, brother. Where have you decided to go? We can't cross the active runway once it's on, so unless we communicate on Unicom. I'm guessing he's going to taxi here, in which case we're probably more than likely free to taxi, but let's see what he's doing. So whilst he's deciding what he wants to do, before we taxi the active runway, we must have our position and strobe lights ready. We'll turn that on, and basically what we want to do is we want to be lit up like a Christmas tree. Just have your braking on the left. So we want to have our landing lights on and lit up like a Christmas tree. And oops, no, we don't want to do that. And I don't know what this gentleman wants to do, but we'll move out of his way. Clear on the left, and we're clear on the on the right. Goodness. And we'll taxi ourselves to the holding point Bravo. Once we pass the active threshold, we want to turn off our landing lights and our position to steady. Remember, our transponder in Australia is on standby. Don't put it to altitude reporting off. That's only Europe. Oh, I think America as well, but I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, that taxiway line, you want to get it on your right. Leg. So about there should be right. Let's see what ground looks like. Oh, there we go. Not too bad. You want to get around there. Yeah, so where you stand, if you look at your seat, your right leg, that line should be coming towards you. Your right leg. Okay? Pretty much it, really. Again, it is based on scenery. Sure what that taxi light. There we go. So that taxiway, we want to go Bravo, not Charlie. We're coming to Charlie, which is the next one on the left. We want to go to Bravo, which is the one at the end. At this stage, just prior to the threshold, we do want to inform the cabin crew that they should be seated. So we'll chuck this switch on, the chime on, and we make the announcement. Cabin crew, take your seats please for departure. So cabin crew will know that they will be taking seats. Now we're well aware that we don't want to interfere with ground with radar, so we're a bit of distance away. So what we can do at this stage, we'll turn out the weather radar on. I'm going to click on here. What I personally like to do is turn on the turbulence switch, which is right here. That means I can see the weather radar, but not that we need because it's not raining, but let's say there is thunderstorms in an area and turbulence reported. I like to have that switch on. The turbulence is here, so I can switch it here. There is a turbulence here. Switch that thing on, click that on. And ideally, excuse me, the first officer would have the terrain on. So how he used to do that is by clicking on the terrain feature. There we go, there you can see terrain. And you can see, I'm taxing very badly here because I'm just trying to do a lot of talking and demonstrating, that our map is on. We want to turn the TCAS on so we can see other aircraft in the area. So how we do that, clicking the traffic button here, left click. There we go. And I'm trying to line up as well as I speak. Double check the weather is on, and it's an auto. There's another section on how to correctly set the radar, the weather radar. I'll just line up here because I don't want to go across that line, because how brave do you want to be if you want to go over that line? I just want to be hold short of that. That looks pretty much good. I'm happy with that. Let's set up here, parking brake on, and let's have a quick, very quick discussion on this weather radar. Now this weather radar has a tilt of automatic, from what I can see. Tilt above, automatic. So what automatic does is the aircraft itself will decide what weather radar is applicable based on your altitude and direction of flight, which is what we want exactly. However, you can manually adjust that using the gain here and the tilt. So if anybody is interested in how to do that, there's a very interesting video that I can link below if anybody is interested. But please comment if you are interested, because that's like another 40, 45, 50 minute specific discussion on this topic on weather radar. Huge learning curve for everyone that is seriously wanting to learn the 737 radar, weather radar. So, and I've just noticed that this is in inches, so we'll just double check that in HP. Yep. So that's another area that we need to be aware of. But at the moment I've let it in auto, so what that means is the aeroplane itself will dictate where the radar itself will be focusing on. Okay, so we're pretty much ready. So at this stage we're going to be looking at the before takeoff checklist, which includes just 2 items. So flaps 5, and green lights, we have green lights, flaps 5. Stabilizer trim, don't worry about the reserve fuel because I've been talking a lot. 5.34 and 5.35, very close. So as long as it's in that green band, we're pretty much good. After departure, the flight management computer will look after our trim and everything. They're doing that for us. Okay, so just having a quick check on the radar. No aircraft arrival, no aircraft on the left. We're pretty good. Okay, so approach into onto the runway is as follows. We request, let's, for argument's sake, there's no ATC online, but let's say ATC is online. Let's say velocity 224, we are fully ready, runway holding short, runway or 16, holding point Bravo. ATC will probably more than likely say, will give us the winds, runway 16, cleared for takeoff. And we will reply with our call sign, velocity, whatever it is, can't remember, I'll have to double check. Velocity 227, runway 16, copy the winds, clear for takeoff, runway 16, we'll report airborne. Okay, so ideally the captain flying, or the pilot flying, will have the reference takeoff on this side. Oh, this side, in this case the captain's flying, so it'll be on this side. And the pilot monitoring would have legs on his side. So this, if you like. Okay, so there's a lot happening, my friends. There's a lot happening when we take off, and I can't do everything in this one video, but I'm gonna roughly summarize it all. Basically, very quickly, once we enter the runway, we must have our landing lights on, and our strobe lights steady, as well as our transponder code in mode Charlie, which that means TARA. If everyone doesn't know what TARA is, there it is, TARA. At the moment it's in standby, which is what is required in Australia. If you're in Europe, I believe it's altitude reporting off if they got ground radar on. But safest bet is stand by when you're on the active runway for takeoff. Bang, chuck it in there. I've got a standby because I'm holding short because I'm explaining things. At this stage, based on the Sydney and Dosan 9 departure, as you can remember from our previous video, initial climb is 5,000 feet, which is what we have. 5,000 feet set. Runway heading is set. Our V-speed is set. Our course is set in case we lose the FMC. Double check the QNH. We've got a change of 1017 on both sides. 1017, and also our standby 1017. Pretty much this is a very, very stable aircraft, and you wouldn't go wrong. Anyway, so let's pretend ATCS cleared us for takeoff. So okay, well, as pilots, good practice to double check. First off, let's clear on the right. The pilot flying, or the captain on the left, will say clear on the left. Okay, release park and brake. Slowly go to the active runway. We pass this line. Once we pass this line, turn on our landing lights. Make sure our runway turn-off lights are on and our taxi lights are on. We position ourselves onto the runway. Nice and steady. Double check the seatbelts are on and the cabin crew is also notified. Double check that again. Anti-collision light is on. Position, as we mentioned before, must be on steady. So they are right and left wing lights are flashing. Pretty much ready now. We've done the before takeoff checklist. Now we can take off. There's a lot involved. Making sure our runway heading is set, which it is. RTO is set. Fuel is adequate. Our V1 140, rotation 141, V2 146. This is all what the first officer or the pilot monitoring will be doing. So here we go. What we need to do is accelerate to 40% N1. If I can bring that up here. Around 40% N1. There is the N1, both left and right, We want to bring the throttles, as you can see I'm just releasing the throttles, 40%, a little bit over 40%, and when it hits 40%, which it does, and on both engines, and you can see they're identical, I'm pretty happy with that. Actually, let's stop. I don't know what this aircraft is doing. I don't know. Because we're below, this is a good example. We're below V1. We can stop. Obviously, this aircraft has decided to taxi. Okay, we're clear. We're good. We need ATC tonight. Okay, let's try that again. Go to 40% N1. I've actually gone to 50. Let's say, yep, I'm happy. 40 on both sides. Yep, it's increasing. It's stable. Then we can hit the Togo button. Our thrusts. And engine thrusts are active. Now we monitor the airspeed. N1 here. And 80 knots here. We need to make sure 80 knots has passed, and someone just crossed the runway. That's not good. Wow. Okay, our V1 is 140. There we go, 140. We're committed now. We're rotating. 146. We're above that, so we're committed to take off now. 3 degrees, pitch up, nose up. There we go. We can see 170, 100, 200. We are we are cleared after the ground, so we can release the gear. Positive rate of climb. What we want to follow the flight director, that pink horizontal line. So what we want to do is we want to bug up. So bug up to the reference speed. That'll be another tutorial for discussion. Well, at this stage, let's continue on. After we take off, we put the landing gear to off, as we see. RTO brakes off. See how the nose is pitched down? We want to maintain that angle 160, which I've badly done. Now, because we're above the white line, oops, where is that white line? We can go to flaps 1. Go to flaps 1. Sorry, flaps 2. We're climbing 3,900. Now it's flaps 1. There's a lot involved. So now at this stage we say velocity 227, passing 4,100 for 5,000, and ATC will tell us velocity 227, climb 240. 240, velocity 227. Ideally we'd like to set LNAV, VNAV at this stage, and 224 I believe. Climb 224. 240, my apologies, 240. And we can see our bug up speed has gone up, so we can call for flaps up. Put VNAV on, so that way the aircraft can... I've made one big mistake. I forgot to put TARA on. That should have been done prior to departure on the runway. My sincere apologies, everybody. Lucky we're flying offline. Okay, so we've been cleared at flight level 240. Now, if ATC says cancel speed below 10,000, what we do is we can go here. We can see below 10,000 we restrict it to 250, which is pretty standard. So what we do, if ATC says did cancel speed below 10,000, we just remove that speed restriction by simply pressing the delete key and executing that. Now the aircraft will be climbing and not be focusing on the speed restriction below 10,000. Another good idea is to always update the heading based on where the aircraft is flying. So we can see right here, if we press the legs page, we're flying to LBAC. We're 2.6 nautical miles, 305. So we put 305 LBAC. After LBAC, we'll be climbing to Chimu, which is 015. So we'll just update 015. The reason why I'm saying this is because if ATC decides to say velocity 277, cancel the SID, track heading 010 due to traffic, then easily we can say whatever, 010. But at this stage there is no ATC unfortunately, so we can just resume the normal star, or SID I should say. Now because in Australia we're at 10,000 feet, after 10,000 we turn off our landing lights, which we will do, our turn off lights, taxi lights, and engines continuous, and we can release the cabin crew so they can go about. And also very importantly, we put the barrow to standard, and then we can call for the after takeoff checklist, which will be on the following: engines bleed are on, packs are in the auto position, landing gear up and they are in the off position, auto brake is off, No, my apologies. I missed one step. Let's try that again. After takeoff checklist, engine bleeds on. Packs are in the auto position, which they are. Landing gear up and off. Flaps up. And we can see there are no lights. Altimeters standard, as you can see. After takeoff checklist complete. So just again, we're using reserve fuel at the moment. That's another topic for discussion. We're tracking inbound Sully 024. We'll just update the heading 024, and we're climbing to 240. There's a lot involved, and if I was doing this online or doing this on event, realistically, after departure, just prior to turning right, you would actually release the cabin crew just to make, so they can prepare for the again, because it's such a short flight. The cabin crew, we want to get out of their seats and prepare the drinks, prepare the meals on our arrival into Canberra. So again, we want to let them free prior to the passengers roaming around, because ideally, in these weather conditions, you want to be above 6,000 feet before you release the seatbelt signs into the release position, so the cabin crew can roam around. Anyway, good friends, I hope you enjoyed the departure out of Melbourne this evening. And the next tutorial will be focusing on arrival into Canberra. We're actually going to be climbing now to our cruising level, and then preparing for our arrival into Canberra. So stay tuned. Again, like and subscribe. Any comments, please comment below. Thank you again for tuning in, and wishing you a wonderful day, and hoping to see you again very, very soon. Take care.